did this perverse so-called Jew-free zone initiative get rolling in the first place?
Well, I think for a long time, Berkeley in particular has been a hotbed of anti-Israel and anti-Zionist political activity. They have a really active Palestinian student life there. California itself is a very progressive state. So all those ingredients together have created a climate that has just become increasingly hostile to Israel and Zionism. And, as it's been said, when people talk Zionists, they actually most of the time mean Jews. So what we can see is that the environment has become progressively more dangerous, I would say, and more the temperature is rising on campus towards Jews in general. So it's been a long time coming. And as I wrote in the article, it's just that this particular episode has kind of upped the ante on the anti-Israel and anti-Zionist behavior on campus.
Laura, it truly makes a mockery of the term and the concept progressive. This is not progressive. This is regressive. This is, a form of discrimination. It is a completely biased attitude to an identifiable group. God forbid if this was any other minority being singled out like this, I'm sure it would be front page on every single American newspaper. But that's another factor, isn't it, Laura? The lack of media coverage. Nobody's talking about this. What's going on?
Yeah, I think that there's also been a lot of anti-Christian bias in America on college campuses for a long time. And that is also something that people turn a blind eye to in the mainstream media. There are certain groups, certain religious groups, certain maybe gender groups that are more highly protected by the media, and the media goes into full gear if certain groups are attacked. I think in this case, it's just really uncomfortable territory for the left. Jews are very progressive in general. Jews vote left, whether it's Democrat in the United States or liberal in Canada. And it's really hard for them to square the circle about what's happening now. It's a very difficult thing to have to acknowledge at some point that the political left is more of a danger than the political right is to Jews in North America. So that being said, it is understandable that there would not be very much media coverage of this particular event. There's often independent media covering anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic attacks. For example, there's a non-Jewish guy named Mike Chernowitz who is in California, who was on the story of Jews being attacked, knockout punched, all these Hasidic Jews being attacked. Here he is, this non-Jewish documentary film producer and sort of social media giant, and seemed to be the only one interested in it. It's very strange. But Jews, I think, have become on the scale of hierarchies of identity politics, they're quite low on the scale right now. And there are people who are higher up on the pyramid. Jews are not even necessarily considered a minority worthy of any protections in many cases. They're just considered blanket to be part of the white hegemony, the white power structure. So things have gone a little topsy-turvy in America in particular, but whatever happens in America, it's going to start to happen in Canada. Progressives here have their pulse on what's happening in the United States. And I don't feel like it's going to get better. I think that with the current administration, a lot of a blind eye is being turned to a lot of this stuff. And I'm not particularly optimistic about where it's going to go.
Laura, what you said earlier is a very important point, that there are so many in the Jewish community that vote left. I would argue that if you are a Jew in 2022 and you're voting for the Biden Democrats or the Justin Trudeau liberals, I would question if you're a self-hating Jew, because these are not your friends. These are, Justin Trudeau, when he was unveiling Holocaust proclamations, he couldn't even say the word Jew. With Biden, look what Rashida Tlaib says on almost a weekly basis. Here's a quote. I want you all to know that among progressives, it has become clear that you cannot claim to hold progressive values, yet back Israel's apartheid government. This is not anti-Israel. This is not anti-Zionist. This is anti-Semitism, because there is no apartheid in Israel. And if your argument is based on a lie, then I'm sorry, the likes of Talib, that is classic anti-Semitism and nothing else. So can you possibly explain to me why in 2022, Laura, there are so many Jews that vote Democrat in the US and liberal in Canada?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I do have a question. So basically the problem is, so Jews generally also have a messianic tendency, believing in utopian movements. They're very idealistic. Jews in their DNA have belief in their DNA, but a lot of Jews have kind of gone away from religion and religious beliefs and observance and real traditional Judaism in favor of much more progressive causes. So the Jews that you get voting Democrat and voting liberal in Canada, their religion, for the most part, is political leftism. That is what they believe in. They believe in that. Culturally, they're still Jewish. They might have Yiddish words that they use. They might celebrate holidays in certain ways. But their actual political belief, the thing that they strive towards, is political leftism. So that really explains it all, which also is why in more Orthodox communities, you're going to find people are voting for Trump. They're going to be more politically conservative. And in Canada, they're voting more for conservatives. So there is a definite relationship between, I think, Jewish practice, that is to say, being Jewishly literate, prayer, holidays, Hebrew, have you traveled to Israel, that sort of thing, and level of commitment to conservative or left-wing politics. Once you realize that they're true believers, but they believe in political leftism as opposed to maybe the God of Israel, as was traditional, then it all makes sense.
What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday, I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.